Welcome artists. Today I'm going to show you a couple different things that you can do with color pencils. We're going to be using these worksheets to help us. You're going to get your choice of doing the one that looks like a sun, doing one that's more of just a geometric design, and then another one that looks like some flowers. Just to show you what we're working on and why we're working on it, I just want to show you when we first start with color pencils, oftentimes we kind of rely on using the same technique. So usually it's filling things in with the same amount of pressure, not doing a whole lot of overlapping with colors, and keeping it relatively consistent and the same. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but when you're able to do a couple of these other things that I have listed on the side, it can usually take your drawing just kind of to the next level a little bit. It can add a little bit of interest, and also can just be kind of fun to do as well. So this is the kind of simplified version, and this is the example where I started using some of those techniques to help me color stuff in. So I'm going to just go over kind of what these mean, how to do them, give you a few little tips, and then you'll be able to, there's my son's sticker, and then you'll be able to give it a shot. So I'm going to demonstrate using the one that looks like a sun, and I'm just going to go down the line here showing you how these work. So this first one is shading dark to light, or light to dark, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to start off with just using one color with this. Let's do a different color scheme. Let's go blue on here. So I'm going to use blue, and I'm just going to choose one of these sections, and I'm going to shade light to dark. You can do this on any of these worksheets that we have. I'm just going to show you an example with this one. I'm going to start off with one of these smaller ones. So if you're shading from light to dark or dark to light, basically you're going to be relying somewhat on pressure in order to build up that value, but you're also going to be relying on layering in order to build up the value as well. So I'm going to be starting darker here, so I am doing more pressure. And then as I go to the other side, I'm lightening it. But notice when I'm doing this, I'm actually doing like really small circles over it. So I'm just trying to like build up that value, but I'm not doing a ton of pressure. And then as I get to the other side, I'm still doing that same motion, but I'm just lightening the amount of pressure that I put until I'm barely even touching it at the end. So again, almost like a little bit of a circular motion, and just kind of gradually moving my way to the side and lowering the amount of pressure I put on my pencil. So that one is shading dark to light. For shading one color to a new color, it's really similar. We basically do the same thing, but just in reverse. So I'm going to pick two different colors here. Let's see what aqua green and this pink color look like. So I'm going to start the same way, where I do kind of that same motion, where it's almost like kind of a circular motion. And I'm going to bring my pencil towards the other side, and I lighten it as I get to the other side till I'm barely touching the paper by the time I get to that end. I usually go over these things quite a few times in order to kind of build up those colors and the values. All right, but now I'm going to do, in order to blend it to a different color, I'm going to rotate my paper because it just makes it a little bit easier for me. And I'm going to do the same thing in that same section with a different color. Just doing the same thing. So I start darker on this side, and then as I go across, I'm lightening the amount of pressure I put on until I'm barely touching it at the other side. And then again, I usually do a little extra. Now I choose two colors that are kind of opposite on the color wheel. This is going to give me a little bit more of like a neutral color in the middle, which can be good, depending on what you're going for. All right, so now I've got one color to a new color right there. This one is layering two colors to see what they look like. I'm going to pick two different colors here. Let's see, red, orange, and yellow. So for this one, I'm going to be layering one color. This time I'm not trying to go light to dark, although you can combine these different techniques, which I'll also show. And then I'm going to do yellow on top Usually you want to try to stay consistent with the direction that you're moving your color pencil in. So for example, I'm not trying to like go all over the place with this. I'm mostly staying, following the line of the shape. Okay, so that was layering 2 colors. For layering 3 colors, let's do these 3 colors. So I'm going to start with 1. Let's do this guy right here. All right, 1 color. 2 colors. And 3 colors. And this can really help you kind of customize and get the colors that you want. So you're not using all the same kind of more generic colors that you get in the box. Okay, got that one done. Got both of those. Filled lightly. So for this one, you're going to try to keep kind of gentle pressure. Let's see what color I want to do for this one. About this blue. For this one, you're filling in and you're trying to keep it consistent and even, but also really light, which is hard to do. Now you don't have to use a light color for this either. I happen to use a lighter color, but you can use any color, just trying to fill it in really light. And then for the last one, burnishing, this is where you fill it in super solid and it ends up getting kind of a shiny appearance to it. I'm going to do a smaller one for this one because burnishing, well, it's a little harder because you have to push so hard. So you do heavy pressure and you really fill it in solid so there's no white showing through. Now I want you to fill in the whole worksheet, but you don't necessarily have to use all of these techniques. I really just want you to at least try all of them once, and then you can play around and have fun with the rest of the sections. So just as another example, for this one, I did get all of these techniques in here at some point or another, going dark to light again, one color to a new color, burnishing. I do have all of these in here, but I also started to play around with some other ways of doing things too. So for this one, I did more of kind of a cross-hatching where I showed the texture of the pencils and just did up and down and side to side with some different colors. This one is called scumbling, and basically it's just controlled scribbles, and you build up the texture with different colors by using little like kind of scribbly lines. Started to add a couple little extra lines and details on some of these. Instead of just blending one color to a new color, I kind of did it in a pattern here with blending into different colors. So you can certainly kind of play around with this and just experiment with the color pencils and see what you can do. Now for the other example I had originally showed you, for this one I started to combine some of these techniques. So for example, for the flower here, I did dark to light, but I also did 3 different colors that I layered on top of this as well, and was really careful about getting it super light on one side and pretty dark on the other. Just so you can kind of see how I did this one. I used this raspberry color, I used red, and I used blue on here. And I started off with doing just kind of a light layer of this purplish type of color. Oops, I probably should have left that part even lighter because I really want it to be light like this one. Then, keeping my pencil kind of going in that same direction, I just really like add it on to the bottom of this. And so I started off just doing dark to light. But then I used red and did a little bit more. And then added some of the blue as well. And the blue ends up kind of blending together, so it gives it more of a purplish type look to it. And that's basically all I did for these, but I just repeated in here, so dark to light, dark to light. And then same thing on these, where I have dark on one side, light on the other. So, but for those, I just move my pencil in the opposite direction. All right, so good luck with these, and I'm excited to see how you do.